Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. We are here at Mercian Hockey with Simon, who will go through the latest range of Mercian Hockey sticks. Simon.
Thanks. The range itself is split into three different sections. So we have the Elite, the Evolution, and the Genesis. Starting from the top, the Elite is the top premium high-tech range we have. The Evolution is the mid-range, and the Genesis, the beginning, if you like, is for the more junior players. So to start with, the Elite range that we have is a 3-model range with 5 sticks within it. We start at the top with a brand new product for this year, which is something we're very proud of. We think it's the only solid foam-filled core stick that exists. A couple of other brands have played with it over the years. I'm not sure what's in their ranges for the coming season, but this is not a cavity air-blown stick as such. It's made in 2 pieces, and there are full foam pre-cut laminates that exist within it. So it's enabled us to take a little bit of the carbon weight out of it. It's a 95% carbon stick, so it's super stiff, but that foam-filled core means that you get a lot more feeling and feedback. So it plays like about an 85% carbon, so it gives you that touch and feel, but it hits superbly powerfully, and it's in the new Ultimate V2 mold. Graphically, we've played a little bit with car paint. So anybody who likes their cars, as the cars that drive past, to change colour as there's different light put upon them. So we've managed to create a full panel wrap. So graphically it's something different for us. So the top stick therefore is the CK95 SC solid core. And there's a nice clear icon set so all of the customers can see exactly what's in each product. So that sits at the top. That's going to have a £375 retail price. So right at the top, we're not going to sell hundreds of them, unfortunately. My castle's not coming quite yet. But that then sits as the top model. In case somebody wants to feel something that's super powerful without that foam-filled core, the CK95 without the SC, so there's no foam within that. That's got a 4-piece carbon sleeve. So rather than having just the checkerboard laminate on top of it, that's actually a completely seamless carbon shell. So you get super power, but it's going to feel that little bit stiffer than the solid core itself. The 4-piece being a piece of carbon around the base for durability, piece at the bottom of the handle for a stress point, top of the handle because for the hitting and the slapping, and then the full sleeve that goes all the way down. It's going to come out 10 to 15 grams heavier than the SC, because without the foam you have that full carbon sleeve. So that's the CK95. Somebody who wants something slightly softer, you then go to a fiberglass base rather than a Kevlar base. So the CF95 comes in 2 different bends. You've got the Pro bend that's a little bit more head weighted, so suitable for more of the power skills, if you like, or for myself and my master's colleagues, a little more stop it and hit it type thing, so a bit more head weighting, or alternatively the Extreme bend, which has the flattened backhand edge, but also then has the white face over the top of the purple bronze iridescent finish. So that's a CF95, so it's got fiberglass rather than Kevlar, so it just plays fractionally softer, still incredibly powerful because the energy obviously goes through the stick itself up into from the player into the ball.
Would that be the main difference between fiberglass and Kevlar, is the feel?
Yes, and difficulty. Once you get to a 95% carbon stick, it's obviously super stiff regardless. So you're in a situation where can you feel that 5% difference? Myself, even as the brand owner, I'm not a good enough hockey player. If you gave me a CK95 and a CF95, would I tell the difference? No. But the type of players who potentially use that sort of product, they are the people who can tell a little bit of difference between them themselves. The entry level is then the CKF90, so we go down to a 90% carbon, and we've then got a 10% Kevlar fiberglass blend as the skeleton underneath it. That also sits in the new Ultimate V2 with the blue-purple iridescent finish. It's the entry-level product, so we're into £240 is the retail price of that. So we go 240, we go up to 275, 325, 375. So it's a premium range of product for the Elite sticks, but a brand new feel and finish for us as a brand.
As a player, what sort of player would be using the Elite range, do you think?
You'd almost be looking at anything, in my experience of the marketplaces, you'd almost be looking from an aspirational young player who's pushing into maybe the top talent academy, representative type things, junior international play. That's when you're into it. We wouldn't recommend that a real junior player goes into a 95, it's too stiff. There are going to be vibrations from high carbon specification sticks, and if you don't have fully formed wrists and elbows, the calcification hasn't happened, you don't want a 10, 11, 12-year-old really using a product like that. It's just a little bit too technical. It's a bit like giving a beginner driver a Ferrari. You can kind of use it, but it's got a little bit of a downside. The second part of the range is the Evolution range. A number of years ago, we're probably talking maybe 20, Mercian made something called the Great White and the Great Black.
Okay.
And they were a carbon finish and a silver carbon finish. And we've kind of gotten a little bit of a throwback to that. We wanted something that looked significantly different.
Yeah.
There aren't many mid-range products in the market that have that silver carbon finish. So first and foremost, we want to create something that looked a little bit different. We then took the design theme from the Elite range, so we've now got this silver iridescent panel in the right-hand area, clear icons so it shows any consumer exactly what's in the stick itself, and then just the colour pops and the colours change as you go down the 5 different models. The 85 is the top stick, so you have a matte silvered finish, which gives the impression it's just a little bit more grippy. Underneath what on these sticks is brand new is a head covering, but there's then that sand-based, silica-based resin finish, so you've got a little bit more grip, so it stops the ball spinning quite as much. The 85 then has 2 different bends. You have the extreme white face. Again, the idea of those is that it's the drag flickers, the people who want to disguise the flicking of the ball a bit. That's the purpose of that. Or then the pro bend that sits, which is kind of the do everything stick that we've always done. So that sits at the top in an 85% carbon at £210. And we then go down in price point. We go through the aqua, which is then your 75%. And we try and do some specific technical differences. So one of the bends there is the DSH bend, which is a concave face. You go down to the 65, which again is the pro bend. It's the do everything stick, basically. We only run it in one bend, which is the pro bend. So it's still that little bit more head weighted, but it's got the slapping and the hitting power. But also because of the shape of the face, you can get underneath it for overheads and aerials. And then we drop down some of the softer sticks. So we're into a 55% carbon. We wanted to do that again to highlight the extreme bend on that. There are some of the younger players who want to start to try and learn that drag flicking thing, and they watch the hockey on the TV and they go, why is there a white face on the stick? So we've tried to do that at a lower price point. And then the entry level, 35% carbon. You're into the players who want to start to use some more of their power. They're probably going through that 10, 11, 12-year-old thinking about going up from a Genesis range stick into the Evolution range, and then they can start to take advantage of their own growing personal power, because the stiffer the stick, the more carbon, the stiffer the stick, the more your energy goes from yourself into the ball. So the stick isn't doing this anymore, it's just starting to stiffen up a bit, so the power and the ball speed then increases, but without going up into this kind of area where they just get super stiff.
Okay, so these are ideal. These are, I guess, your volume sticks, where a lot of the players would be buying this sort of range, and your club players, juniors going into adult hockey. So and the colorways are really strong. So.
Yeah, and we've tried to, from a shop perspective, we've tried to make it really clear. So each stick is different. It's not a small change of colour. There is a striking difference between the colours that our agency, who we work with and have worked with on the designs, I can't take any credit for that at all. They've done all of the hard work. But you're absolutely right. So as an example, the 65 in the middle, you're looking at £170 stick. Market conditions suggest even when it's new, it's going to come in with about a 10% discount. So £153 if my maths is right. That is pretty much these days that middle market adult stick purchase, or juniors going into a higher specification stick. It's where it sits, and other brands have similar really strong price points. If you want to go beyond that, that's great, and the technical elements then start to increase a little bit. But what we've tried to do is make sure there's a selection of bends all the way across the range. So if somebody wants an extreme low bow, or they want a head weighted stick, there is a model that's specific for not their position. I don't believe in positions for sticks, I believe in playing styles. So therefore there's a playing style suitable for a stick, or a stick suitable for a playing style.
Okay.
So the introductory range sticks that we have is the Genesis range. Now, they're never going to be as technical as the top range that we do, because you're looking for your beginner players. They need to be a bit more vibrant. So the colourways, we spent almost as much time on the colours of the Genesis as we did of the technology of the Elites. So you've got a situation where, again, it's our agency who proposed the colour base for the range, and we look at 5%, 15% and 25% carbon percentages there. We do run some sticks that sit underneath that, but this is where the carbon sits with the 5s, the 15s, 25s. All 3 of these sticks, however, have been produced in brand new moulds for 2025. So what we looked at, if I take a 15 off the shelf, we've thinned down the right-hand area, recognise that we want the width in the shaft, because obviously the kids want to be able to stop it and play with it as they would do, but we've then decreased the dimension of the shaft itself, so it's a lighter weight pickup. So even in the longer lengths, because it's for lower strength players, we don't want them picking it up and the head just dropping out their hand. There's something going, oh, this just feels like an absolute tree trunk. You want something that feels comfortable in a hand regardless of length.
Yeah.
So the 25s at the top with the new graphics, so we've got the sky blue grey base colour, with the purple and the navy as the contrast. The lime green pop is then just a reflection back onto the elites because that colour sits through. They do come in longer sticks, but even the 37.5 inch, you still weight it.
Yeah.
So what you deliberately do is you move the balance point further up the shaft.
Okay.
So despite it being longer, the factory are hugely knowledgeable and we can specify where we want the weight to sit. So you want a bit of weight in the head, but you don't want it to feel, as I say, like it's kind of a tree trunk when you pick it up.
Yeah.
So trying to move that balance point up, it's a slow, gentle low bow, so there's nothing aggressive about it. So it does offer the kids the opportunity for kids, the younger players, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The opportunity to pick up with the modern skills, 3D, overheads, etc., as well as the whole hitting and slapping. So 3 different price points that sit. Your 25% carbon sits at £105, drop down to 85 for 15%, and then the 3 different colours. So we've got the orange, we've got the aqua, we've got the rubine that sits across the 3 bottom sticks. And they then start to come in the shorter lengths as well, because some of the junior players now, even looking at 30-inch and 32-inch sticks, they want to progress out of those wood models. Yeah. So there is that greater demand for fiberglass, a little bit of carbon. Again, could you tell the difference between 15 and 25? Possibly not. Could you tell the difference between 25 and 5? Absolutely. Yeah. It starts to really start to generate some good hitting power on hits and slaps.
Yeah, I think it's one of the big things we found selling hockey in our stores is that a lot of brands focus on the top end and not enough focus on the sort of starting and junior sticks.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that you guys have really put a lot of time and effort into it. I've got my 2 girls who both play hockey, and they're 9 and 11, and you know the sticks they pick out normally tend to be too heavy, whereas they have used, one of them does use a Mercian, and she just finds it to be so much more balanced. Even though the weight might be similar, it's just much more balanced, and it shows, you know, from what you've said, in terms of the time and effort you put in. It's not just the colors, it's actually the other technology that goes into it, the weight, the balance, which makes a massive difference as well. So
thanks for identifying. I mean, I would happily stand here and say we've been guilty of ignoring that in the past. You just go, let's make it a pretty color, and we'll look at technology, and it's exciting, and it's bends, and it's carbon, it's this, that, and the other. But for me, there's a brand loyalty piece that doesn't necessarily exist as much in the market as it possibly did 20 years ago, when people go, I buy this stick and I've used this all of my career. Yeah. There's a whole lot of marketing that goes behind a lot of the brands, and therefore colour and identity is important, but at the same time, we're a technical brand. We have a tagline that's win before you play, which is about the product you select then helps you perform. Yeah. So it's not just about, is it the pink one, is it the orange one? There is a lot of that, don't get me wrong. I happily get involved in conversations that I spend 10 minutes explaining something and someone then goes, I'll still have the pink one. Yes. I'm like, okay, there's nothing I can do there. But to look at the bends and the shaft shapes of the sticks, and it's not insignificant. A single new mould will cost approximately $1,500. Yeah. And we have to have 7 of any new stick before we can go to market. Yeah. So you multiply that out, you're into over $10,000 worth of investment just to make a new range for a junior stick. Yeah. And you think about that, and you need 3 different lengths if you're going to run a whole range of sizes. Of course. It's not an insignificant investment to make that, but the junior players deserve to have a product. What I want is somebody who buys a stick and goes, I like the feel of it. Yeah. Because if they don't, parents will find the youngsters have lost it within about a month because they just don't like it. Because the colour will only go so far. 100%. Yeah. They have to go, you know what, I'm happy playing with this and it helps me develop my skills, whether I'm a beginner or I'm an intermediate transitioning from Genesis to Evolution, whatever it may be. So thank you for identifying it, but it's really important to us to have the technical elements that go all the way down through the range. Brilliant. Simon, thank you so much for taking me through the full range of hockey sticks. Guys, thank you for sticking around till the end. We'll have these sticks available very soon in our stores. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. See you again soon. Thank you.